Hey, it's Jason Simpson. We are talking about tornado signatures. Had a question yesterday on the new Facebook like page, the fan page, from Jennifer O'Connor Garrard asking how we look for tornadoes on radar. And here's some examples of what we look for. And there's no one thing that really sets one storm apart from another. Each of them are individual, they have unique signatures, but there are some key characteristics that can help you identify where a tornado could be developing. Now, some of them are obvious. This is a screenshot taken from April 27th from our severe weather coverage. Of course, there's James in the middle of the picture. His right hand, the hand in the upper part of the image, is pointing toward Barry. That's in Fayette County. Barry's underneath the downdraft part of the thunderstorm where rain and hail and gusty winds are happening. But his left hand is pointing toward a debris ball, or sometimes called a tornado debris signature. In this case, we were fairly certain there was a tornado on the ground because of that bright ball of reflectivity that shows up on the far southern edge of the storm, that encircled area. We often refer to a hook echo, and the hook is the entire shape of the storm. Notice from James's right hand down to his left how the storm tends to curl back in toward that debris ball. That's what a hook echo is. It actually shows up like a hook. Now, the other image that you can see from this is a velocity display, and we look at velocity from various radars, and it's relative to the position of that particular radar. So in this case, looking at the storm moving out of Tuscaloosa County toward Fayette County, the one that was south of Barry, James is not actually pointing toward the couplet. The couplet is the spot where we have the arrows highlighted there. Inbound velocities, that's wind headed toward the Columbus, Mississippi NEXRAD, which is technically up at Greenwood Springs. That's why it's called GWX, Greenwood Springs Radar, up in Monroe County, Mississippi. So you've got inbound velocity right next to outbound velocity, and when they're very tight like that, and you see something in the reflectivity like the hook echo or some kind of bow echo or a comma head, which we'll get to in a second, you get the idea. There's probably a good tornado within that, and it could be sizable like the one on that day. This next image is from the morning of April 27th. Before the supercell storms in the afternoon, we had this intense band of storms that rolled through the state, and in this picture, in Tuscaloosa County, note the red polygon in the northern part of the county, that storm that's crossing over Highway 171 and Highway 43, that was the Holman tornado that came out of Pickens County into North Tuscaloosa County. It was an EF3. We detected it on radar, tracked it pretty well. There was another storm in southern Tuscaloosa County. Note that little notch that's coming up on Foster's on I-2059 just north of Moundville. That was a storm that produced an EF3 tornado in Coaling just a few minutes after this radar image was taken. There was no tornado warning for Coaling because we just couldn't see the circulation in the radar, couldn't see the tornadic signature in the radar well enough to know that the tornado was developing right over the city of Coaling. Now, we got the warning as it approached Cottondale, then crossed the interstate close to the Mercedes plant, but it was just a little too late when it came to trying to find that particular one. So when they're embedded in the line, it's a whole lot harder to see, but you can still see some of the reflectivity. As that Holman tornado kept moving northeast, we had additional circulations developing on the line, and there, of course, I am in the image. And what you see there between Oakman and the Warrior River, Oakman and West Jefferson, the circled areas where we had velocity indicating a very tight rotation that produced a tornado in EF3 in Cordova that morning. So that kept moving northeast right toward the word Cordova on the map. The velocity display was really all we had. There was no hook echo. There was no distinct bow to that. It was simply a circulation along the line, and those are almost impossible to detect. Okay, the last image that I want to show you, a comma head feature that produced multiple tornadoes in Cullman and Marshall counties on the morning of the 27th. And the reason this doesn't look as crisp and clean as the other images is because when the storms passed over Hoover on the 27th, we lost internet, cable, electricity, so we ended up having to use a program called RadarScope, which was on one of the Mac computers in the office. That comma head feature was in Cullman County. It produced a number of funnels within one path area from Cold Springs to Hanceville to Holly Pond, and then up into Marshall County. Eventually, some of those crossed over Lake Gunnersville. So what you see there, the circled area is the northeast edge of Cullman, northern part of Blount, and far southern Marshall County. And you notice how you seem to have a little hook echo there with some low reflectivity right in the middle of the image. But that's not a classic indication of large, violent tornadoes. And in this case, it looked like EF0, EF1 damage for most of the way. And the National Weather Service in Huntsville ended up rating this an EF1 tornado. So there was not a real distinct velocity pattern with this, but with the comma head feature, we had a good idea that there was probably at least one tornado there, but in this case, we believe there were multiple tornadoes under one part of a thunderstorm called a comma hit. So, Jennifer, there are some of the ways that we detect tornadoes with radar. Obviously, the best way is with our Skycam network, with Sky Watchers that we have in the field all the time. And if you want to be one of our Sky Watchers, we do Storm Alert Extreme every year. It's Sky Watcher training held at the BJCC in conjunction with the Alabama International Auto Show. That usually in November. We don't know the exact date or time on it just yet, but as soon as we do, we'll announce that on the blog at alabamawx.com, and I'm sure we'll have something on TV about it as well on ABC 3340. So, there you have it. There's an answer to a question, and if you have a question you'd like me to answer, I can either do it on Facebook, or if I need to, we can do it video to make it a little bit easier to understand. So thanks a lot for watching, and hope you have a great day. God bless.